So, first page. While I was sketching all the portraits, I would come back and do some gouache studies with some of them. And a couple on the page would be left as a sketch. I would just pick the one that I would like to color the most. So here I really like how this one turned out as a gouache study. But these two I don't really like because I added some opera pink and some other watercolors into it. I was experimenting to mix watercolor with the gouache, because if you add white to watercolor, it would be basically a gouache. These ones, I kind of like them a lot, not so much this one. Sketches look nice. All the sketches that I was doing in this sketchbook, I would draw the kind of like a robot version first of the portrait, and then I would layer the features on top of it. And I collected these references based on this bright light where you have dark shadows and then very dramatic light on another side of the face. I really like how this one turned out, and this one. You see, I was marking which one I liked and which one I wasn't sure about and which one I didn't like, but it was as a sketch. So when I was painting them, I would try to push them to be a little bit different, so I like them more. And maybe even for some references I wasn't sure about them, so I maybe removed them from my Pinterest. You might not find all of them on my Pinterest board with the 50 portraits challenge. I like how this one turned out. It's a little bit stylized, but I like it. And here I stopped doing the gouache studies on top of them, but we will fix it in this video because we will be using gouache to paint few of these. I think here Her and Her are my favorite. This reference is really good. I always like to sketch it, but I don't think this drawing is the best of this reference that I've done. Oh, I really like her here. This one looks the weirdest. I really don't like don't like it, and I think this one is still a little bit weird. And even this one, I've painted her previously, and I think it was better. But this one looks really good. I like it. All these studies I was doing more than a year ago. It took me a year to finish this challenge, and I think I turned. Oh yes, it was originally 50 heads, and then I turned it into 100 heads. So 50 heads were finished quite fast, but then later the 100 was taking me almost a year. I like her, even her. This one is really nice. I think I was using this photo here as my profile image for a long time. I think I still use it on YouTube. And here I started making them a little bit bigger because it's difficult to sketch in small heads. Okay, this one's Billie Eilish. I like this spread a lot. I think they're all very, very beautiful. Drawing them bigger really made it better. I love this one. This one is probably one of my favorites. For this one I have a video creating it, step by step, full process. You can find it. I love these two. I don't like her hair, but I usually focused only on bigger shapes and not small details. And I think on the reference, her hair were all connected, so that's why I drew it that way. If I would be drawing it now, I would probably split some of them into the hair strands, so they would look more like a hair. Oh, I really love this one. So here I got bored with all the serious faces, and I decided to study some emotions, and it's way more interesting. I really love the way Zendaya turned out here. First of all, because it's difficult to draw her, plus the emotion, and it was such a pleasant and easy sketch. They all actually were very nice to draw. Then these guys also really good. I started this sketchbook in Canada, and these portraits were done in Australia, I think. So yeah, these smiling ladies, I think when you're drawing someone who is smiling or cute, you are being happy during drawing them, because you're looking at them and you mimicking the emotion. It's always fun to draw happy people. This one looks funny. So next, what's gonna happen, I'm gonna cover this side of the page because there are portraits that are not in order. So you see, like, it's 77, then 78, 79, 80. I really like her. And there are like different numbers there, so we'll come back to them a bit later. It's 96 there. It's basically the last page. And I think with these portraits, what happened, I decided to finish my whole 100 in one day, because I had 20 portraits left, and I decided to do them in one day. And that's why I think the quality of the portraits dropped as well, because I was trying to rush, and then at the end I even had a sore neck, and my hand was sore as well. So I don't recommend doing so many portraits in one day. I really like the way she turned out, even though she's definitely faster than these two. I think I struggled with this one a lot, and it didn't look good because I had to rush and then at the same time pay attention. So I was not enjoying them. You can feel which one have enjoyment in them and which ones don't. So here I probably decided to make them faster, and I think they turned out okay. So now we're gonna go backwards. So it's 87, 88, 89, and then we're gonna go here. 90, 91, 92. These ladies look good. 93, 94, 95. I think I like this one the most here. I think 94 is a little bit weak. It feels like because I didn't have enough space on the page, I would right now I would make her hairstyle a little bit bigger. I feel like I was just trying to fit it into the page. Okay, and the last page, 5 portraits on one page. 96, 97, 98, 99, 100. Here I was so tired. I was probably dying over here at 98. 99, it's such a beautiful reference, but nose is not big enough, so I failed this one. So here I think I like her the most. I like him. He's a really cool reference to draw. And the 100. So that's it for the sketchbook tour, but let's go back and paint some of them. I have only 5 gouache paints. It's a limited palette of yellow, blue, magenta, black and white colors. This limited palette is not my favorite, but when I wanted to try gouache and was thinking of buying my first set, I didn't want it to be too big, and I just wanted to be as minimum colors as possible. So I saw this set, and it's actually what is used in printers: cyan, lemon yellow, magenta and black. Those are the colors that most of the printers are using, and it's good because you can mix almost any color. It's a little bit lacking on bright orange colors. They're still good, but not as vibrant as they could be. I would like to let you know right away that the first portrait from the three I painted is the worst one. And it's actually to be expected because I didn't use gouache for months, almost a year, maybe a little bit less than a year, and it's my first time touching it in such a long time. So of course I'm not used to the medium, and of course it's not gonna be as good as it could be. That's why I wouldn't really care too much if the first attempt doesn't work out as good as you expect it to be, because I was fighting the paper. I forgot that this is not a proper paper for watercolors or gouache. Then I tried to use a square brush that I'm using for oil paintings, and it didn't hold enough water, and I had to always put more and more water again and again. It was annoying. So then I switched to my watercolor brushes, even though they're not square brushes but round ones. So you see, like, the first portrait was about getting used to the medium, remembering how it works, uh, and I noticed that I was trying to follow some rules. For example, I started with the darkest values and then tried building it up to the lightest ones. And with second and third portrait, I did the opposite. After I had my base colors, I painted light and then a little bit darker light. After that, it would be shadows, the darkest darks, and at the end I would connect the light with shadows. This way I liked a little bit more because it felt like I was sculpting a portrait, and also I think I managed to avoid the ugly stages. Since my process was improved, I also noticed that I painted a second portrait way faster than the first one. I almost felt that I need to keep working on it and give more details just because it was a little bit too fast. First portrait was the opposite. It took me the longest and I struggled with it. I was repainting it again and again, trying to find the right solution. But at the same time, it's kind of good because it forces me to experiment more. And you can see I was even playing with the really bright colors. I mixed a bright green and added it into the light. So I get a little bit more risky when something is not working out, and I start experimenting in the desire to find the solution and save it. It doesn't work every time, but sometimes it's nice to find these unusual solutions to problems and to have it in this arsenal of tools. This year I was using a lot of oil paints, and to be honest, I got really spoiled with the amount of colors I use. I have different yellows, different reds, different blues, and I find all these differences between them and I pick my favorite ones. So these three primary colors in this limited palette are a little bit not ideal for the portrait paintings, because for portraits I was using a lot of warm browns, reddish browns, yellowish browns, and mixing those warm browns with a pink color and a cooler blue is not really fast. It would be way more convenient to use a warmer red instead of pink. That way I wouldn't need to add yellow all the time to mix a brown. I would still keep the pink. Instead of this blue, I would pick a very, very dark blue so I can mix black with it and I wouldn't have just black in the palette. What makes me not to enjoy painting with the gouache is that I don't know how to store it after I'm finished. For example, you see how much paint I have left? Quite a lot. And it's gonna all dry to be little rocks. And so first of all, I need to clean the palette and then save the paints somehow and then reactivate the paints, which is could take some time, or you need to save the paints in some moist environment where they're not gonna dry. That's quite a lot of work and thinking to set up. That's why I think I like the watercolors the most, because there is zero preparation almost and no cleanup. I would like to learn what would be the most convenient way to store gouache leftover paints, considering also that I can leave them there for months, which means if I leave them in a moist palette, then they might grow some mushrooms there or dry out anyway. So it needs to be something convenient and not exactly for everyday painting, but more like once a week painting without wasting paint and easy setup. If you know those tips on how to achieve it, let me know. I would really appreciate it. I thought I'd talk a little bit about hair. The middle girl has really beautiful hairstyle, a lot of curly hair, and it looks intimidating and it looks like a lot of work or difficult to sketch, difficult to paint. However, it was almost the opposite. Really enjoyable, really easy to paint those big, huge curly hair. I didn't even think of the structure of it too much. I would be just almost sketching it with a paintbrush. And I think I like the way it looks. It looks kind of realistic. It could be more realistic, but I think for me, it looks like a good impression of the hair, and it was extremely easy just by using a couple of different values for shadows and for light. It would be interesting to do similar studies in a watercolor sketchbook where I can use more water on the page, more layers. But at the same time, I like that with gouache you can still use it on not the greatest paper. If you're careful with your layers and the brush strokes, it looks good and it's workable. Where with watercolors, it's almost impossible to work on this paper. So I would give definitely 1 point to gouache because you can use it on the not a special paper. Overall, I get this mixed feelings of my two favorite mediums, which would be watercolor and oil paints. And gouache is literally right there in the middle of both of them. So It is interesting. I can sometimes use it as a watercolor, and sometimes it's exactly the way I use oil paints, and it's a really cool experience. We are almost at the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching it. I hope some parts of it were either inspiring or helpful to you. I would be happy to read your thoughts and ideas in comments. Please let me know how can I improve future videos. Also, you can follow my Telegram channel for my daily updates. And that's it. Thank you. See you next time.